Too bright.
Well.
Ew, wrong color. Ooh.
Holy heck. Okay, well, welcome to How to Be Friends with Dave and Shawn. That was our second take. Actually, first take didn't go so great. Can you know what? Is the audio any better now? I just moved the microphone a little closer.
Yeah, you sound better now with a closer mic. How do I sound?
Like the beautiful, buttery silk voiced man that you are.
Okay. All righty.
So, okay, a little business up front. First off, I haven't done this in some time. Um, and at least for today, I'm going to bring it back. We now have a sponsor. That's right. Sam's Club Diet Cola. When you're a poor nursing student
Yeah, I was going to say that's...
living on debt and you need a 0-calorie caffeinated beverage, there's really not much else to turn to.
Is that a full-size can, or is that like a little shorter than a normal can?
It is actually full-sized. Let us assume that next to my gigantic head, a normal-sized can looks miniature.
It's like Tab. Oh my God. How's it taste? Like cola?
It tastes like it wants to be cola, but it's just hasn't grown up yet. It was one of those things where I'm doing my grocery shopping and I had to switch grocery stores from Winco to Walmart because Winco doesn't take credit cards and I'm going to be living on debt. It's just a fact. So I go to your local Walmart grocery. I know!
So stupid.
It's one of those things where, okay, it's not as bad as it sounds. Like right now, there isn't any exorbitant debt, but I mean, I got tuition assistance and
no, I mean just the idea of going anywhere and they're like, "I'm sorry, sir, we don't accept credit cards."
Oh, that's how they keep price down.
Yeah, or you could let people use their credit card and just charge the person the fee that they would normally pay the credit card company.
Yeah, many years ago, you weren't legally allowed to do that, and there have been enough businesses just been like, yeah, screw it, we're gonna charge you that like nobody's. If it's still a law, it's obviously not being enforced. Which, for crying out loud, why didn't we do that with the mask? You and I were talking about how like everyone is just saying screw off to the mask. It would have been nice if there was some more businesses that just be like, masks don't work. Sorry. Sorry, that's going to get us banned. YouTube, if you're listening, masks do work. According to the CDC, masks work 2% of the time.
Yes. Masks are the pull-out method of...
Oh, gosh. No, that's actually somewhat effective. It is, in fact, the timing your ovulation method of contraception.
Yes,
which
you're right.
Never precisely works.
No.
So... 3 minutes into the podcast, I actually want to thank our fans. I had a wonderful drill weekend, which we'll get into in a moment. And one of my co-soldiers was just glowing about the podcast, still listening to it to this day. So that soldier specifically, I'd like to thank. Go ahead and spread the word.
So of the 3 people who watched last week's episode, you're one of them.
Yeah, apparently I didn't even look. Like my life is straight up falling apart.
Congratulations, insert rank here. You've been mentioned on a podcast.
Correct. No, dude, I actually, I'm being too hard on myself. Through my vicious work ethic, I was able to get everything done with time to be able to relax tonight with my best good friend and all of the wonderful things like that. But yeah, I was doing nothing, and I'm actually looking at our analytics right now on the last episode just to. What the heck? Did you do that?
I don't know. I just clicked a button. I don't know what it does. I'm sorry. Is that being recorded?
We're going to find out. If you're new to this show, it is an experiment. It is a growing thing. So yes, thank you to anyone watching. As my friend Shawn, who also discovered filters on Instagram for the first time today.
I just learned how to use Instagram today.
It's a cesspool. It's terrible. But here's the critical difference. So the Facebook app, okay, they are all battery and RAM hogs, but the Facebook app does not have its own built-in messenger system. So you have to have two different RAM hogs if you're going to have that. Instagram at least has it all built in.
Right, and I don't have to actively be signed into Facebook
Correct.
to use Instagram.
Correct. So
Cool.
you don't have to worry about your QAnon friends and your Antifa friends sharing their latest triumphs and sadness. Oh my God. Now, okay. How many years were you at the drill center, Shawn? Understanding, of course, that you moved us from the haunted Fort Vancouver to the new drill center that's now, what, 10 years old? How long were you there?
I would say 7. Because I think I was only serving in Vegas for a year.
You got to, that's kind of cool. Okay, so 7 years in Vancouver. All right. How many of those years did you get to use the EST 2000?
As an EST 2000 or as a room where we kept Christmas gifts for the Christmas party?
As an EST 2000. Correct.
Never.
Yes. So, of course, being now on the other side of the FST, basically whatever we want to do, we just do, which includes cracking open the EST 2000 and getting people started on the new rifle marksmanship test that we were talking about in previous podcasts.
Wait, so there's like fake guns and everything in there to use now?
We got a
air-powered guns.
Yep, we got the compressor, we got the tank, we got 50 cals grenade launchers.
Please tell me you played Duck Hunt.
No, I don't know how to run the program. It's super easy, but I don't know how to run the program. As soon as I can get unnamed tiny sergeant types that you and I have worked with before to provide me with a copy of the key, I'll figure all of that out.
Yeah, does unnamed tiny sergeant type have... Does she watch this podcast?
First off, not a she unless something has changed in that person's gender predilection.
I'm thinking of a different person, sorry.
Negative. But if he or she or whatever did, hi.
Well, if Wickersham, if you ever watch this podcast, I still remember you putting your feet on the dashboard of my Bronco, and I'm still slightly irked about it.
I'm going to have to remember to do that someday. Okay. So, okay, I'm here to tell you the results of soldiers getting their hands on the new shooting system. Now, that being said, no one was bothering to zero their rifles. And said soldier, who I was talking about before, insists that the EST 2000 adjusts for distance and drop and all that stuff, which I don't actually think that it does. All of that said, people were not passing.
No.
Not until they got their hands on it. But the funny thing was, like people weren't firing all of their bullets. Like my first time doing it, I think I fired 28 rounds out of 40.
Of time constriction?
It wasn't necessarily the time constraint so much as like you're worrying about too much. And so, I'm talking to people. I'm like, don't change your magazine until it actually goes dry. Don't, because it gives you prompts and stuff like that. Don't. It's actually much better for combat. You find yourself going for the close targets and like maybe firing a bullet, maybe at the 300s, but a lot of times just telling them to F off. It's a pretty good test, but it took a while to get people past. My highest score was 28.
Only the Army could suck the fun out of a fucking video game.
The highest score we saw all day was 31.
Wow.
Provided by the 915th Det Sergeant. Congratulations if you're watching this. Am I?
Yes, congratulations on your 31.
Someone else, I think, got a 31 as well. I think one of the officers did. But it's a good test, Shawn. It is a good test.
I don't doubt that.
And we didn't do any of the dummy rounds in it either. We're supposed to have the dummy rounds in it, which is going to slow people down even more. But once I did it a few times, I still found myself with a few of those moments of just kind of sitting and watch. Oh, okay, there's the target pilot. You know, that kind of thing. It's not bad.
For those of you listening who don't know, the EST-2000 is a giant projector that projects a range or a firefight scenario or whatever else, behind helicopters, whatever it may be.
Ever.
And you use air-powered simulated weapons because those simulate recoil.
Pneumatics.
And it is, I'm sure at the time that the Army paid for it was cutting-edge technology, but by the time they actually put it in and used it, it's some old broke stuff.
Yeah. Taxpayer dollars going towards civilian contractors whose only job is to run these things. We had a specialist learn it in 1 day. 1 day.
It's a giant video game.
It's a giant video game. It's
If you have never shot down a Hind helicopter, though, with a 240 Bravo, it is a blast.
If you've ever played Time Crisis at the arcade.
Oh, yeah, it's just like Time Crisis. It absolutely is.
With a clicky gun.
If you've ever wanted to mag dump a Toyota minivan with Al-Qaeda operatives popping out the side of it, this is the game for you.
Oh my, okay, speaking of Al-Qaeda operatives, although it's not actually Al-Qaeda, did you hear about the excellent bait and switch that the Israeli forces pulled on Hamas?
No.
Okay, are you keeping up with that noise?
No.
Okay, so, What year is this? Which someone in the world trying to murder Jews is this the anniversary of? There's been over like 3,000 rockets fired. Okay, here's the background. Let me give you the background because it's controversial. Okay. So, during Ramadan, people got pissed because Israeli police went and beat up some, I guess, young people who were in a mosque, and they were throwing fireworks and rocks at the police.
Okay.
So they went in and they, like, stopped them because that's what you do. So, in response, they fired a couple of rockets, and in response, the Israelis, stopped the firing of the rockets. And for some reason, that just escalated. So now there's been nearly 3,000 rockets fired into Israel from the Gaza Strip, all right? And for anyone who's not familiar and who hears all the hoopla, here's how you know who the bad guys are, all right? The Israelis would like peace, all right? The Palestinians, and I'm not talking about the land thing. The land thing is a whole other thing. The Israelis want peace. They actually gave up land in 2005 to try to achieve this peace. Hamas just want to kill Jews. So that's a problem. Moving forward. In order to kill Jews more effectively in such a way where they cannot respond, they'll fire their rockets from mosques and schools and hospitals.
There's your sound clip for your cell phone, ladies and gentlemen. They extract that one and take it completely out of context.
Yeah. Thank you for jumping into that to make that impossible. So, I mean, you can't blow up a hospital when rockets are being fired back from. So, okay. So here's where the bait and switch comes in. And this is great. So what do? You have to send in the infantry, right? We have to do the same thing. Like when you have a mix of people trying to kill you and innocent civilians, you have to send in humans to separate them, right? Or am I wrong? You just lost.
I was just kind of thinking, I mean, you should.
Correct.
Laser-guided bombs do solve problems, but...
So they stage a bunch of active duty forces, activate a bunch of reserves, and get ready to go into the Gaza Strip and kick some ass. What do you suppose, in response to this mobilization, that the Hamas terrorists did?
Ran away.
Mm-hmm. And
And then the Israelis didn't do anything.
Close. Shawn, they had mapped out all the tunnels that Hamas likes to hide in.
So they played Hamas whack-a-mole, essentially.
They totally did. They just started bombing the hell out of the tunnels, which I think is great. It's genius. So apparently it still hasn't stopped the rockets. So they've got more tricks up their sleeve to do, I'm sure. But what else do you do when that's the tactics of the opponents?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do.
Correct.
Unless you want to be jerks and just start firing rockets back, but then you kill innocent people, and that kind of violates the whole idea.
They actually, I don't know if you've heard of this, but they have these knock bombs you can drop on top of a damn apartment building, and it just explodes on top of the apartment building to give everyone a get the out because we're coming.
I love that. A knock bomb?
Right.
That's fantastic.
We don't even have anything like that.
We do. They're called bombs.
And they're just regular.
They're just bombs.
They just blow it all up. They don't. We take the harmless out of it and make it harmful.
We gave you an eviction notice 30 days ago. You knew we were going to invade. It's on you.
Which again makes the point. You want to know how the Israelis are the good guys? The fact that they have something like that exists.
I can't imagine just some Israeli guy be like, hey, you should probably leave because we're about to just dust this fucking carpet.
And then people stick around. I mean, I gotta give them.
The terrorist is gonna stick around, and all the civilians will leave. Right? Like.
So yes, the quagmire continues. Thankfully, I don't know if you heard about it, but all of the peace treaties that had been set up under the prior administration, the Abraham Accords, is still holding up, and that's nice. That's a thing. But I want to get back into more of the stuff that we're doing as a unit, which is kind of cool. It is kind of cool. Okay. I told you we got our inflatable hospital, right?
Yes.
And all of the cover that comes with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, okay, if this particular soldier hears this, I'm not making fun of the suggestion at all. I'm just making fun of the idea of bringing all of this. There was a recommendation to see if we could pack enough netting to be able to try to camouflage our hospitals better.
That is a lot of netting.
That's a lot of netting.
Yeah.
So we got word on the battle plan. The battle plan is, all right. So you know how an FRSD is supposed to work. We're supposed to attach to a combat battalion. They're supposed to start shooting people. And they say, go there because people are going to get hurt, right?
Okay.
So the protocol is that we have to, the goal is to be able to start treating patients in 30 minutes or less.
Right.
Okay.
Which is, of course, was 1985 was put in front of Congress as the dominoes approach to healthcare.
Right. Okay. So that being said, of course, that was clarified. That's not like some medic being on people. They want an OR table up and surgeries in less than half an hour.
I've watched people at the lake who couldn't inflate a raft in half an hour. That takes a lot of repetitive practice.
Right. And which is kind of cool because that's something to do on a drill weekend other than...
Yeah.
So that's exciting. We have to figure out how to do this with a 20-person team, though.
Well, you all blow at once.
It takes approximately 45 minutes just for the dang hospital to inflate.
How are you supposed to be treating it? Okay, because the OR is in a Connex.
It is not. It is no longer its own thing anymore.
Okay, so it's part of the inflatable?
Right. So let me break it down a little bit more for you. We're supposed to have 3 trucks, okay? Which is okay. I'm gonna take this part first, okay? Because the way that it's supposed to work is it's supposed to be one FRSD has its cargo truck and its hospital truck, right? And that's what we have, right? They want a 20-man team to somehow drive 3 trucks in,
Right.
6 total, counting the gear,
Right.
right? So, okay. But it's still cool training. It's still worthwhile. So we're supposed to have the ability to throw up a tent, throw up an OR, and start treating people within 30 minutes, and then continue to work on 3 trucks up in an hour and a half.
Okay.
That's not impossible. It gives us the cool idea now of we have to figure out how to have a 30-minute or less OR up and running. That's kind of cool.
That is.
Not impossible. We just have to pack a specific box for that, put it on the back of the truck. That's the first thing we pull off, get to work on that. And the rest of the team it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get people off an airplane in like 2 minutes, I would say that just have it set up like Southwest. You open the door, pull a handle, fucking hospital
slide off
out the side. You slide into the OR, scrub up.
Which, now that I'm thinking, so again, between the trucks, we have the capacity of carrying 19 people.
Right.
It's a 20-man team.
Missing one, yeah.
Right, which means you've just inspired me. There needs to be someone in with the cargo who just kicks that mother out.
Somebody's riding bitch up top. What you do? Are you in MTVs? You just remove that turret hatch. Yep. You just hang out the top, baby.
Yeah, put a little sling in. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Not bad. Do you remember that in Basic, by the way? Did your Humvees have only the nylon string to sit on?
Like in the back?
In the gunner seat.
When we were doing gunnery training in a Humvee, yeah, that's all I had.
Did you almost come flying out of that thing like I did?
It's not comfortable. It's more supportive.
So, would you like to describe this? Because it was not like, you go watch a Black Hawk Down and you see the gunners getting shot up in that. It's not what we trained on. Would you like to explain to our audience exactly what that was?
What I trained on? There's just a hole in the top of a Humvee and stuck my rifle out of it. Like, we didn't have a spare 50 cal for training.
Imagine sitting on a seatbelt, one strap of the seatbelt. Shit, you were not strapped in any other way. You're sitting on that.
Yeah, it's like a playground swing.
Right, and the 4-wheel leaf spring suspension of the Humvee and its great ability to absorb shock. You were coming out.
That's not a leaf spring. Those are coil springs.
I think the front are the coil springs. You're right. Felt like leaf springs, but the back are leaf springs.
At the back, leaf springs?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like
it's
89% sure.
It's 4-wheel independent suspension. I thought the backs were leaf spring. Anyways, continue your thought.
I didn't have a whole lot of thought because my brain is shutting down, Shawn, thanks to nursing school. Anyone starting nursing school out there, just be prepared for your brain to stop working in week 1.
They're coil springs.
I was an idiot.
It's okay. I'm just correcting you before our large Humvee owning audience gets angry at you.
I don't understand why they exist.
All none of you.
It's disappointing.
Yeah,
but yes.
I wouldn't want to do nursing school at this point. I've just reached the point where my poor old man brain just... I can still learn, but I have to want to learn it. And if I don't want to learn it, my brain is like, nope!
Okay, that's actually a pretty astute thing to say, because when we're kids and people just say things to us, like our teachers, like your dad just says things to you. Sam does, excuse me, I burped on my water. Sam does this, like, You're good. He's poning noobs, but Sam, I'll just say stuff to Sam, and he'll like totally quote it later.
Right.
And
You absorb it and retain it.
right. Whereas you're right, when you get older, people will say things, and if you don't give a crap, it's not sticking to anything.
Oh, dude, in one side, not the other.
It's just gone.
Yeah, like I could tell you what a sidereal day is, but because that interests me.
Mm-hmm.
But then you teach me something that I don't want to know that would probably be useful, and my brain's like, probably useful. Really don't care. Pew! Like,
Yeah.
because I don't want to know it.
Right. And so part of the difference is, okay, I seriously might be the oldest person in our nursing school. We have this young woman who is 19 years old starting nursing school. And it's not like she's like did her prerequisites during high school and is now entering the community college nursing program for her RN. This is an accelerated bachelor's program. I'm impressed. One of my friends does not believe she's going to make it, but she might because of stereotypes I can't say on YouTube. Remind me about that later.
Stereotypes you can't say on YouTube. You know what? I won't say it, but I can guess what a majority of your class consists of.
So yes, and I am now. I don't know if I told you, but I'm now spending more time in a saloon than any person who doesn't drink in the history of mankind.
Yeah, it's a good place to study.
Right.
Plus, occasionally there's a brawl or the sheriff comes in to arrest one of them outlaws.
It's the worst saloon ever. Did I not tell you about why I'm here at the saloon? Okay.
Because it's the only place you could find that was indoors that didn't require masks, right?
Okay, so of course the college with its beautiful library closed down, which left me with my when I was doing this before the only other place.
I love COVID.
Yeah.
I love it. Look at this repository of learning through the ages. You can't use it.
Right. Okay.
Go to a saloon, swine. Screw your tuition pay.
Shawn. The Vancouver Public Library is open, but are you ready for their COVID protocol?
You already told us last week. Open for 30, closed for 30.
Did I mention that my brain shut down? So the saloon, this is weird. The saloon opens at 7 a.m. Free Wi-Fi.
You gotta get drunk in the morning, baby.
Right. It turns out that there's a reason for that. Like, the majority of their clientele are like people that are very, very old. Right. And for some reason want to go to a saloon and listen to country music.
They've been up since 3. They're having lunch.
Right. And they're going in getting their toast and eggs special, and it's very, very sweet. Because they don't bother me. I just sit there and I order my dad Coke, and Taco Tuesday I got $1.25 tacos. Nice. Paid for by debt, and it's all right.
Thanks, Dad.
Not dad.
Debt. That's what I said. Oh. Hey, I was going to mention, do you have time to do plasma? Because they are paying bank right now to do plasma.
Right now, I don't. And
it's like in excess of $800 a month now.
Yeah, out here, I looked that up because your recommendation was good. You can get up to $1,000 for starting right now, which is crazy. And there's in one of the other places it's saying like $700 a month.
It's the one that I go to. It is a minimum of $100 per donation, so it's like 125, 150, 100, 125, 125. I know, and I still haven't gone yet because I've been so busy.
And I like tomorrow, for example, okay. Couple of tips coming up. Life tips, college tips, okay? Maintain your self-care. And so I insist on making sure that I continue to go to the gym. But tomorrow I've got my CPR class as well. So I have to hit the saloon at 7 a.m., start my early drinking Pepsi. And then like by noon or 1 o'clock, I have to hit the gym because then by 3 o'clock, I have to leave for a CPR class because of that hoopla I was telling you about. I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Okay, so there's the time element. And so that's why I'm telling people right now. Maintain your self-care and treat it like a full-time job. But in addition to that, I don't think I'm going to be able to go because of the demands of protein on my body.
Yeah.
So here's the tip. Just the tip. So your body does everything with lots of stop that.
I'm offering you real-time feedback.
I hate you, but I love you. All right, so stress
Yes.
affects everything in the body. It
Of
really
course.
does.
Yes.
It damages everything, and your body needs protein to repair that damage.
Yes.
And then, if you're using your muscles, as I try to do, your body needs protein to be able to repair that. And in conjunction with that, your body needs protein for every normal function. The hormones that travel around your body are made out of proteins. So I don't think I could stack plasma on top of that. The moral of the story is those of you that are sucking down your 8-shot espressos every day to try to stay on your feet, throw some protein down your throat for once and watch your energy change.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes a difference.
In all seriousness, get a protein wall. Get something.
I mean, honestly, I get by on one morning cup of coffee and then water throughout the rest of the day.
Yes, hydrate. Yeah. If you think your 8-shot espresso is hydrating you, it is not.
It's not.
It's not.
No.
And I hate to badmouth our sponsor, but if
Sam's
you think
Cola.
If you think
how many dad puns have you used with that so far?
Actually, I hadn't thought of that. Sam, this is your soda.
Yes.
It's not good.
I can't believe you haven't thought of that.
It's not great.
No.
Sam, why would you put your name on such garbage?
Why would you put your name on such garbage? Because it's inexpensive, Dad. Dang it. By the way, he's going to have his career before I do. He turns 15 this year. I'm going to graduate just a couple of months before he turns 16, and he's already making gifts for people and animations. And when you were 16, what could you do for work?
Like, what could I do or what did I do? Because I slung fried chicken.
That's spectacular. So what could you legally do for work at 16?
Legally, what was I capable of?
Yeah.
I had a limited mechanical skill set at 16, but I think anybody who would trust a 16-year-old to work on their car is pretty stupid.
Valid.
Yeah.
And here Sam is working on the stuff that he could get hired at 18 making 6 figures if he's really good. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Right.
The conversation was, of course, as a good parent, I want to tell him, get up, go outside and play. But he's developing awesome skills. So what the heck am I going to do?
Yeah, Keith is using these editors and he's making animations with them.
Right.
And I'm like, go out and play and get some sun, but then come back in and do something that will actually give you some experience.
So here's the analogy I want to take with this, right? Okay. I can't do what you do. Period. Because I can't turn a wrench for that long during a day. I just can't. Right? We all specialize in a regard. Now, and by the same note, you probably don't want to be shoving needles all day right now, right?
No, not into other people. Myself sometimes.
You diabetic bastard.
How dare you? That was a heroin joke.
But to the point, this kid can sit in front of a computer and do all of the little coding stuff. And it's he's developing the skill to put up with that. Do you want to sit in front of a computer and just poke things together all day?
You know what? I would enjoy something like that. The problem is that, much like everyone else, you lose the ability to do that once you grow up and have responsibilities.
Correct.
Like, it becomes a struggle to learn anything like that, which is why I'm old and I stick with the skills that I have, because I don't have the time to learn new ones.
You're not old. You're beautiful. You're a young man. You're going to outlive us all.
Sure.
Actually, okay. The data shows that I'm not even halfway there in terms of being a Sutherland. I say that the data shows this because the only grandparent that I had pass before 90 was my grandpa on my mom's side, who was a chain smoker his whole life, who, by the way, was such a turd that I just learned his first name doing my family's health history. He was a joyless man. That being said, so I'm 40 now. And taking the statistics and, of course, the fact that I have more than 40 years to go, I had that what the hell? I had that existential moment of, oh my God, can we wrap this up? It's going to take so long for me to get there. I'm going to be this tiny, shriveled old dude hanging out in the dang diners, making inappropriate jokes for way too long.
Yeah, I don't know what our family's life expectancy would be, because a lot of us have been killed by trains. But I figure once I hit the point
Wait.
that I'm done, I'm just gonna go hang out near a train track.
How many of your relatives were bound in ropes and tossed upon the tracks, such as Snidely Whiplash and Dudley Do-Right?
One of them went over when a bridge collapsed on the train. The other was crushed by a train. Nobody has ever been tied up and put on the railroad tracks of a train. Strangely enough, though, my family loves trains. We love trains. Trains are awesome. I love model trains.
That's the problem. You guys love trains too much.
You got to embrace what scares you most, I guess.
You need to become a monorail operator. You need to go work on the rails now.
So you face my fear every day.
Wrap this shit up.
Yeah. So I assume we could live to a decent age if we just stay the hell away from trains.
Let's run with this scenario for a moment. Good young Shawn gets a job working on the high-speed light rails, ripping around the planet at 200 miles an hour, making no sound.
Yet there's no way in hell I'd ever even ride one of those.
But that being said,
that's borderline witchcraft.
It is. And if you get blindsided by that, I don't blame you. It makes no noise and is moving 200 miles an hour.
Well, yeah.
Your ancestry, what's their excuse?
OSHA didn't exist, I assume.
You have something going 20 miles an hour. It's blowing smoke.
One of them was crushed to death by a coupler. Apparently, that was pretty nasty.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. And keep in mind, at one point, I was actually looking to get a job with the railroad up there in Washington. Yes.
What was the name of that feller who was trying to get everyone on with the railroad? The big guy who had the heart attack while he was in. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to oust him, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what?
He used to carry a military bearing. Do you remember that?
Well, that's funny. I forgot.
Like, let me see your military bearing. And he had a literal bearing, like off of a military vehicle.
Like, that was cool. But he was so nonchalant about it. He's just like, I just come get a job in the railroad. I tried. I think you tried.
Yeah, it's not like super easy.
No, it is not. So
he was like, would you be able to like climb up ladders all day? And I was like, yeah, I'd probably be able to do that. Is that the job? Just climbing ladders.
Which, of course, was to reach the lever on the water tank so that you could refill. No.
No. No. This isn't a steam locomotive.
Oh, Shawn.
410 to Yuma or whatever the hell. Sergeant Buccello, we love you.
He said you were going to out him.
Sergeant Bucky, we love you.
That was his name. I was even at 28 years old, being in the military, I was such a sweet, innocent child. I actually remember being like, Sergeant Bucky's showing me how to maintain the Humvees, and maybe someday I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the unit where you went to at a training and you were like, I have my military bearing and I will be properly. And I'd be like, yes, Sergeant Buccello. And he'd be like, oh, just call me Bucky. And you're like, okay, apparently we don't do the military thing here.
Actually, I got away with that today with a new soldier I have who seems like a pretty good kid, honestly. But like we're working in the det meds yards at like 80 degrees. Everyone's got their top off, and I'm looking at him. But I had entered him in my phone, and I looked at him, and I was like, "Specialist Tyler." He's like, "Yeah." It's like, can you get that blanket out? I'm gonna walk away. I hope you didn't notice that I didn't refer to you by the right name. He was actually kidding.
That's the joys of rank.
Yeah, because staff sergeant gets me everywhere. In a unit when there are more medical providers.
How many times was I promoted to sergeant by people, though?
Because they kept calling you.
I guess we're rolling with it.
Because you should have been damn company commander. See, those are some of the things that surprised me as well. Is how that crap happens. Because, okay, the tiny unnamed male soldier who did all of the IT with us during our table 8s. Set up the Google Drives.
Yeah.
Tiny. You know who I'm talking about? Tiny.
If I were to purchase one of him, would he be on Amazon listed as shoes?
Gosh, dang, I'm trying. Okay, so yes. He's still an E5, and I feel like that guy should be in charge of a unit by now.
You know how I sent my packet to the board and then nothing ever came back, and they got everybody's packets back?
Yes.
And then mine never came back, and they said they lost it.
Was he one of those?
No, but do you remember how the first sergeant was not a fan of mine?
Which was weird, but go on.
Remesnik took over his office.
Oh, yes, and found your packet.
And found my packet in the bottom of his desk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think for a second that hard work will get you anywhere in this world, nope, just piss off the wrong person.
Yeah, and in that regard, I'm trying to get my soldiers to get their 5s, and I don't know how the packet system is now. We got that all figured out. I had that locked down. You put together this physical packet, you handed it to your first sergeant, send it up, and life was good. Did I tell you how I got my 6?
You asked politely?
No.
You didn't even apply to it. They just came to you one day and they're like, congratulations, you made 6.
My wonderful platoon sergeant said, hey, I've got good news and bad news for you. I'm like, yeah. She's like, bad news is you're being transferred out of the unit. I'm like, okay. She's like, the good news is it's with your 6. And I'm like, I had just started to work on my packet for my 6. I was like, thank you.
You're like, awesome, thanks.
Now I'm expected to be a leader.
Well, they expect that from you at E4 anyways. Yeah.
I don't even have an office. Okay. So.
All right. Let me lead you from my laptop in the corner as I sit on the floor.
That's what every E6 I've ever worked with has an office, and they can hide from work. Can't do that.
Behold, my sham room.
Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, there are the exceptions, of course. We have our Sams of the world, not you, Sam, the other Sams of the world. You know, we have you know the great hardworking E6s, but the rest of them, man, got their massage chair. It's all right. It's all right.
It just I think you hit E6 and you run out of F's to give. Because did you ever meet an E6 supply sergeant that had anything in order? Like,
true. It's true.
I need to check out the keys to this cage. Yeah, they haven't been in the drawer for like 3 days. Just check the sergeant's desk. You walk in there, there's like stack of 28 keys to different cages, and you're like, yeah, glad these things are secure. Yep. Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. The only supply sergeant E6 that I met, I met supply sergeant E5s, which were like super squared away because they were E5s. But the only E6 supply sergeants I've met who aren't such as that are the ones that are like super angry. You just do not want to go and talk to them because...
Right, and that's how they keep everything in order, because nobody will approach them to do anything.
Exactly.
If I'm unapproachable, nobody will hand me paperwork.
But I will tell you...
Sergeant, I need to DX my pants. Your pants are fine! Okay.
Are you pregnant? Then no. In that regard, I do have to talk up my... Okay, so fun things happen. I hope that the great universe, the dear Lord up above, has throwing me some dang lines here. If I can get through this nursing school. I mean, my section now has an ER doc right there. So if I want to specialize in emergency medicine when I get through nursing school, I can be like, hey, guy I've been working with for the last 16 months. That's nice.
Pull some strings at your hospital?
Right. I already spoke to him. He's like, he was so cool. He's like, I don't know how all of that goes, but yeah, let's do something.
Sure. Like, yeah, call the hospital and say, Dr. So-and-so said I could work there.
No. Yes. Because Shawn, you apply to jobs with a BSN. You're basically going to get it if you can fog a mirror because of the fact that BSNs are needed everywhere. Right. You walk in with a letter of recommendation from a colonel who also works at the hospital.
Yeah, not the one with the chicken restaurant, but an actual colonel.
You know how I've said this before and I'll say it again. You know how my world was broken when I found out he wasn't a real colonel?
It happens.
I had this, I don't even know where I heard it. I had this dream in my mind.
Yeah, and Captain Crunch is an admiral. It's all backwards, man.
Correct. I don't know where I heard it, but as I recall from my youth, he was not a real colonel, but he was given his colonelship for feeding like Civil War era soldiers, and then I just found out he was a dude.
Yeah, I submitted a packet and couldn't make E5, but this guy became a colonel.
By friggin' selling chicken.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the BSN, you come in like one step above scribe in like MA at that point, right?
Yeah, it's legit. It's the sort of thing now where if you're an LPN, right, you are hired at any care facility to hand out meds. That's what you do, right?
Right.
If you are an RN, you can get into some more places, but you're probably not going to get any real good hospital work with your RN. Probably some ICW work, to get something proper, like a friend of mine who is an oncology nurse, you have to have at least your BSN. But that being said, I have to get back to, what is it, the secret 57 herbs and spices that the colonel became famous for?
11? I think you're thinking of Heinz 57.
Also overrated. Let me get back to the 11 herbs and spices. Okay, so first off, it ain't working. For those of you who aren't aware, Popeye's chicken is better than KFC. Chick-fil-A is better than KFC. Hell,
Cane's is better than KFC.
a lot of gas station chickens are better than KFC.
Oh my God, crispy crunchy chicken, which you will only find in a gas station, is fantastic chicken. Get some of that gas station chicken.
So what you need to do now, Colonel, open that safe that supposedly the original recipe is still in. Go ahead and say, all right, so first off, it was only 9 unique ones because the first 2 were salt and pepper. Secondly, nutmeg really isn't all that of a surprise. You need to come out and you say, this is what it was, and now we're spicing it up more. I'm doing your advertising it for you. Get a contract with Tony Sacheri's, which, by the way, was a thing at drill trying to determine how to pronounce Tony Sacheri's.
I got you, KFC. I got you right here. You ready?
Hit it.
Ready?
Hit it.
Hi, I'm the Colonel. Come down to KFC when we're open Sundays and Chick-fil-A ain't. Hail Satan!
That would work. Chuck's Produce. Do you have a Chuck's near you? Are you familiar with Chuck's Produce? Okay. They're one of the Seventh-day Adventist groups that, they're closed on Saturday.
Oh.
And fine. Good for them. In all seriousness. Okay. Communism has failed every time it's been tried. All of you kids out there wanting socialism, saying that corporations are evil, as a whole, I am going to go ahead and say that there are corporations out there who are willing to sacrifice nearly billions of dollars to be closed a specific day. Good for them. And furthermore, do you really think your communist overlords are going to let you take Sundays off?
It just hasn't been done right yet.
If we just try it one more time, maybe this time 15 million Russians won't be killed.
I'm just saying, give Marxism a chance.
You know, maybe I'll get lucky and I'll be removed from my leadership post due to my criticism of Marxism on this.
Yeah, they say, well, communism has failed every time it's been tried. Yeah, not a whole lot of long-lasting democracies out there either, honestly. I mean, got the U.S., we're going strong for what, a few hundred years? Just saying.
By that logic?
Egypt ran on slavery for a lot longer than that. I would not say
Okay.
that was a democracy.
By that logic, we're halfway there in the regard that apparently now all we have to do is have our half-dead president inbreed and call it the monarchy. Because if we're going based on the most successful form of government, well, it was monarchy and it was inbreeding.
It is like a Grimm's fairy tale. It's like, in order to satiate the needs of Ted Cruz, he sniffed every woman he could find, and finally he sniffed one that was just right. And he fed her to Ted Cruz.
Sweet baby Ray.
Hey, I don't like Ted Cruz, just saying.
I have to, and that's fine. Okay. Let me just say, again, friends should be able to disagree. I like Ted Cruz in his principles and policy. However, if that man could get through a complete sentence without intentional stuttering,
when a majority of your job is public speaking and you cannot publicly speak.
Which is strange because he can. He just chooses to toss in some repetition
It's
just for the hell of it.
honestly, he's like Foghorn Leghorn. I expect whatever he's talking to be like, I say, boy, and then he's just gonna grab a dog off to the side and start slapping it.
Correct. Which, okay, I'm gonna wax political for just a moment here.
Oh no!
Yep. Give me just a moment here. Okay. Good. We got to wrap up soon anyway. I want to say this because Ted Cruz kind of illustrates why President Trump was not reelected, which is this. You can have, I'm going to say it, and we can talk about this later. President Trump had fantastic foreign policy, and pretty good domestic policy, but no one could put up with him. All right? No one could. It's all right. Ted Cruz, learn from that lesson. Your policy's pretty good. Try to be more lovable.
Yeah, be likable.
And that's the point. On the other side of the aisle,
you need to be Ted. You need to be like Sarah Palin.
Oh God, no! Don't do that.
Yeah,
no. Be
the one that a lot of men vote for because they find her relatively attractive.
She was relatively attractive, and so the other side of the aisle, I can disagree with a hell of a lot of the policy and say, I mean, they figured out a weird formula to get the rest of the country to believe that they're the politicians that are not out to screw up their lives. They're all of them are out to screw up your lives.
It doesn't sound like you're talking into the mic. Are you talking into the right mic?
Did it break? Did I break it? I broke it. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
all of the politicians, they hate you.
I don't think they hate you.
They want your money.
That seems like a wide swath, like all of the politicians.
No, it's true. There are some out there like, I mean,
Ted Cruz wants to eat your children.
We gotta wrap this up. Okay, Shawn, we gotta wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
This episode, our 21st episode, had no notes, had no script, had nothing. And I appreciate it because I have suffered this week.
Samesies.
Thank you for this, Shawn.
Yeah, it's good talking to you, buddy.
Have yourself a wonderful evening, my friend.
You too, bud.
Bye.
Bye.